The 1980s had R&B dripping with groove, synth, and soul, but not every band that lit up the clubs got their due. Klymaxx brought fierce femininity, aura-carved magic from electro-funk, and at the top, a group whose harmonies could stop time. These 15 underrated 80s R&B bands deserved more fame then and now. Number 15, Systematic by the System Electro-Funk Visionaries. Ahead of their time. In 1983, while R&B leaned towards silky ballads and big label polish, the System dropped Sweat, a sharp, minimalist funk album that pulsed with synths and urgency. Signed to Mirage Records, the duo, Mike Murphy and David Frank, blended soul vocals with icy production in a way that predated New Jack Swing by years. Though they found modest chart success with tracks like You Are In My System, which Robert Palmer later covered, the pair remained cult favorites rather than household names. Their sound, futuristic. Their presence, elusive. Picture this: neon lights reflecting off vinyl floors, a packed roller rink, and Don't Disturb This Groove sliding through the speakers like liquid chrome. They weren't just making songs, they were coding the soundscape of a future R&B wave. Today, the System is revered by producers and crate diggers alike. But in the 80s, they were prophets in a crowded temple, heard but not fully seen. And if the System painted the future in digital blue, our next group brought pure California sunshine. Number 14, Be Yourself by Cameo. The funk architects who slipped under the mainstream radar before their massive hit Word Up brought them brief pop fame, Cameo had been crafting rich, experimental funk since the mid-70s. But by the time the 80s hit, their sound had evolved into something truly special and sorely overlooked.
Think you had something to say? Don't you hope that just...
Albums like Alligator Woman and Style were overflowing with lean grooves, cheeky lyricism, and forward-thinking production that fused punk energy with R&B soul. Larry Blackmon, the charismatic frontman with the red codpiece and flat-top haircut, was a one-man show of style and rhythm. His percussive vocal delivery and the band's sparse, sharp arrangements set them apart from their slicker contemporaries.
And keep your head on straight, just be yourself. Say what's so...
Yet outside of die-hard funk circles, their deeper cuts rarely got the love they deserved. Drop the needle on Be Yourself or Why Have I Lost You? And you're instantly pulled into smoky lounges and after-hours house parties where the beat never stops and the bass line holds court.
You got it.
Their influence is everywhere, from Outkast to Bruno Mars, but fame often forgets the blueprints. Cameo built the bridge between Parliament's wild funk and the glossy R&B of the late 80s, and they did it with fearless flair. If Cameo was funk with a side of mischief, our next band was all velvet vibes and quiet storm grooves. Number 13, The Second Time Around by Shalamar Dance Floor.
I know you come a long way, baby.
Dreams with tighter moves than most pop acts. Formed by Soul Train's booking agent, Shalamar had everything going for the stage presence, dance mastery, and one of the finest voices of the era in Howard Hewitt.
Love can still be fine. The second time around.
Their music was sleek, stylish, and dripping with cool melding disco's last breath with R&B's rising sensuality. By 1980, they were riding high with hits like The Second Time Around and A Night to Remember. But despite their polished image and near-flawless live performances, mainstream respect eluded them.
Second time around.
Part of the reason? Constant lineup changes in tension with their label. The band's original chemistry, especially with Jody Watley and Jeffrey Daniel, never fully recovered once the trio split. But those who remember, remember well. Watching Shalamar live was like seeing R&B ballet Daniel's body-popping influenced Michael Jackson's moonwalk.
Not like the first time, not like the first time.
And Watley's style became iconic in her solo career. Close your eyes, and it's Soul Train in full swing sequence, strobe lights, and a groove so tight you could snap it in half. They deserved arenas, not just clubs. But if Shalamar moved your body, this next band went straight for your heartstrings. Number 12, Sin for Me, by Atlantic Starr lovers' anthems wrapped in velvet and vulnerability.
Don't know what was said, my baby.
By the early 80s, Atlantic Starr was perfecting a sound that felt like a candlelit slow dance at the end of a summer block party. Formed by the Lewis brothers and molded through years of lineup changes, they finally found their groove with vocalist Sharon Bryant leading the charge.
Doesn't mean nothing with you and I.
In 1981, they released Radiant, and with it came Send For Me, a tender ballad that never made it as big as it should have. Their harmonies were intricate, their melodies rich, and their lyrics always aching with sincerity. Atlantic Starr knew how to soundtrack love in all its phases: the longing, the joy, the quiet pain.
Nothing is what I am without you.
And yet, they were constantly overshadowed by bigger crossover acts like DeBarge or Anita Baker's Solo Wave. Despite several charting singles, they always seemed to step away from true superstardom. Still, put on Am I Dreamin', and you'll find yourself transported of a car, slow rain on the window.
That special delivery man.
Hearts young and wide open. Their love songs should have filled stadiums. Instead, they became whispered secrets among R&B romantics. But while Atlantic Starr whispered, our next band shouted in funky, flamboyant Technicolor. Number 11, Operator, by Midnight Starr, Kentucky funk that hit harder than most LA Giants. Straight out of Kentucky's Kentucky, Midnight Starr burst onto the scene in the early 80s with a sound so polished and fun, it felt engineered for Saturday night.
I call my baby up on the telephone. I got connected.
Mixing zap-like talkbox effects with irresistible hooks, they were electro-funk royalty hiding in plain sight. Their 1984 album, No Parking on the Dance Floor, should have made them permanent radio staples. Tracks like Operator, Freak A Zoid, and the title song were pure synth-driven joy.
This is an emergency.
But while their songs lit up clubs and black radio, they never quite cracked the mainstream like Prince or The Times, perhaps because they lacked the industry machine behind them. Still, there was a time when you couldn't step into a house party without Operator cutting through the speakers, making everyone rush to the floor.
Operator, can I help you?
Yes, I'm trying to it's my baby, and I dialed.
It was groove with a wink, funk with an IQ. And if Midnight Starr wired you up with their electronic fire, the next band gave you a full-body emotional charge. Number 10, Just the Way You Like It, by the S.O.S band Southern Soul meets Future Funk. Formed in Atlanta and signed to Taboo Records, the S.O.S band was a groove machine armed with subtle sophistication. By 1984, when they dropped Just the Way You Like It, they had already made waves with Take Your Time, Do It Right. But this deeper cut showcased a moodier, more refined edge. Thanks to producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who'd later shaped Janet Jackson's sound, the band adopted tight drum machines, haunting synths, and a sensual pulse that defined the Quiet Storm radio era. Frontwoman Mary Davis delivered vocals like silk over glass, elegant but unbreakable. And yet, despite influencing countless acts and pioneering a now classic production style, the band never became a household name. Still, fans know. Those warm chords and laid-back funk made magic at cookouts, late-night radio sets, and dimly lit clubs. And as Jam and Lewis left to become legends, the S.O.S, the band stood as their soulful launchpad. If you're loving these forgotten gems as much as we are, if these underrated 80s R&B bands are bringing back sweet memories, hit that like button. It helps us keep the groove alive. And stick around, our top 9 are still ahead. And trust me, the next one will knock you off your feet. Number 9, There's No Stopping Us by Ollie and Jerry. The duo that defined breakdance euphoria. In 1984, just as breakdancing was exploding onto street corners and movie screens, Ollie and Jerry delivered a jam that felt like pure kinetic energy. There's No Stopping Us, the theme from Breakin', captured the pulse of the electro beats, synth stabs, and a sense of unstoppable motion. Ollie E. Brown and Jerry Knight were seasoned session musicians, with ties to everyone from Ray Parker Jr. to Stevie Wonder. Together, they found lightning in a bottle just for a moment. The track hit the top 10, but the duo never followed up with a full-length project. The fame was brief, the spark and the pursuit unforgettable. Imagine boomboxes blaring on sun-baked pavement, kids spinning on cardboard, and a sound that made you believe anything was possible. That was Ollie and Jerry's gift. And while their time in the spotlight was short, their sound still echoes through retro dance playlists and nostalgia-fueled DJ sets. But if Ollie and Jerry were the soundtrack of the streets, our next band took us straight to the steamy clubs of Miami. Number 8, Party Train by the Gap Band Groove Generals with more depth than they got credit for. Most remember the Gap Band for Outstanding or You Dropped a Bomb on Me, but dig deeper and you'll find a band bursting with range. Hailing from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Wilson brothers fused deep funk with wild energy, turning every track into a celebration of life, love, and liberation. By 1983's Gap Band 5 Jammin', they had perfected their formula: rubbery bass, soaring synths, and Charlie Wilson's electrifying voice. Party Train was pure chaos in the best way, funky horns, call and response hooks, and a beat that refused to quit. Despite crafting some of the most danceable songs of the 80s, they were often boxed into novelty status by critics who overlooked their musicianship and staying power. But let's be honest, nobody crushed a live set like the Gap Band. Sweat, sequins, and soul poured off the stage. And Charlie Wilson, still influencing vocalists to this day. If the Gap Band brought the party, this next group brought the bedroom groove. Number 7, Do You Love What You Feel by Rufus and Chaka Khan. A love-funk fusion that sizzled. Though Chaka Khan often gets the solo spotlight, her work with Rufus in the early 80s remains criminally underappreciated. Do You Love What You Feel, released just before their official split, is a sonic rush-blending disco's pulse with Chaka's fiery voice and the band's razor-tight funk. Rufus had already carved out a legacy in the 70s, but by the time the 80s rolled around, their style evolved into something smoother, more sensual. This track, from 1979's Master Jam, produced by Quincy Jones, was the perfect handoff into a new decade. It's easy to forget how groundbreaking this sound was. Layered percussion, playful guitar licks, and that unmistakable voice soaring above it all. Chaka could sing the phone book and make it feel like a confessional. And while her solo career soared, Rufus quietly faded, leaving behind grooves that still feel fresh, funky, and full of feeling. But trust me, nothing prepares you for the raw passion of number 6. Number 6, Curiosity by the Jets Family Harmony.
I've got to know, is she just a plaything?
With pure Minneapolis flair. Before Janet and Prince fully owned the Minneapolis sound, there was a family band from Utah that blended tight pop hooks with R&B depth and Polynesian soul.
Didn't hesitate to run to me.
The Jets were siblings, 8 of them of Tongan descent, and their rise in the mid-80s was a burst of joy and energy. Curiosity, from their 1985 debut album, had that unmistakable synth pop sheen of the time, but layered with intricate harmonies and playful rhythms that gave it staying power beyond the top 40. Produced under MCA Records, the Jets were never quite given the full respect they deserved from the R&B world.
I've got to know, is she just a plaything?
Often miscast as teeny bopper pop. But listen again, and you'll hear the skill, the groove, the heart. Their ballads, like You Got It All, hit deep, while up-tempo cuts like Rocket to You lit up dance floors. At their peak, they were packing out arenas, but history gave them a lighter footnote than they earned. If the Jets were youthful sparkle, the next band brought hard-edged urban sophistication with a lover's touch. Number 5, Silly Love Song by Force M.D.
Lost in the night, I wrote your name on my door.
Is street corner soul meets New Jack finesse. Born in Staten Island, the Force M.D.s were one of the earliest groups to merge doo-wop harmonies with hip-hop beats, a fusion that would later fuel the entire New Jack Swing movement.
Look in my eyes, there'll be no surprise.
But back in 1984, they were just a bunch of guys harmonizing on ferry boats and street corners, trying to find their sound. Silly Love Song came before their big hit, Tender Love, and it showcased their unique blend of softness and streetwise rhythm. Signed to Tommy Boy Records, they were early pioneers, but their success was bittersweet. Tragedy haunted the group, several members died young, and fame always seemed just out of reach. Still, close your eyes and play that track. And you're transported to city nights, steam rising from the sidewalks, boom boxes crackling, and slow jams that made you feel something honest and tender. They deserved more airplay, more longevity, more love. But our next band, they had everything, except the spotlight. Number 4, Dreamin' by Guinn.
Stands right now.
A one-album wonder that glowed with quiet brilliance. Released in 1986 on Motown's short-lived Constellation label, Guinn's self-titled album barely made a ripple in the charts, but those who heard it never forgot it.
I've been living a fantasy.
was the standout. A smooth, melancholy mid-tempo track with fluttering synths and featherlight vocals that wrapped around you like a memory. The Dallas-based band had all the makings of a breakout-tight instrumentation, polished production, and a frontman with undeniable charm. But a lack of label support and poor promotion left them stranded in obscurity, their sole album becoming a buried treasure for R&B collectors. Imagine dim bedroom lights, cassette decks playing softly into the night, and that bittersweet ache of young love. That's the world Dreamin' lived in. Today, copies of their album fetch collectors' prices online, and retro R&B heads still sing their praises. And if you think Guinn was a lost gem, wait until you hear what's coming next at number 3. Number 3, Night and Day, Early Demos by R&B.
Can you feel it, baby? I can.
Sure's backing band, the invisible architects behind the Quiet Storm, R&B, Sure, may have been the face of the late 80s Quiet Storm wave, but behind that smooth swagger was a band that rarely saw the spotlight. While Al's silky vocals and striking image earned him chart success, it was his core crew of musicians, an underrated nameless ensemble that helped carve a new direction in modern R&B. These session players helped shape the warm, electronic textures that defined hits like Night and Day. Yet, their names were often buried deep in liner notes or left out altogether. With roots in gospel, funk, and jazz, they blended analog soul with digital sheen, crafting tracks that sounded like late-night love letters floating on the airwaves. Their influence spread far. Their sound was the template for emerging producers like Teddy Riley and Babyface, laying the foundation for R&B's next era. Their story? Heard by millions, remembered by few, but their sonic fingerprints? Still echoing through every slow jam playlist you love. And while they whispered through studio walls, our next band shouted in full color from Detroit. Number 2, Operator. Yes, a different one, by Shotgun Motor City Funk that brought the fire.
I had to leave my condo to come to this.
Detroit's Shotgun burst out of the late 70s into the early 80s with a sound forged in funk, but dipped in R&B and arena rock ambition.
That's what I get for being in the neighborhood.
With Operator, in 1982A, different track from Midnight Starr's hit, they delivered sharp horn lines, a fiery groove, and vocals that felt like pure adrenaline. Signed to ABC and later MCA Records, Shotgun shared stages with Parliament, Barkays, and Cameo, often outplaying their more famous counterparts. But without a breakout hit or label push, they became one of the many soul-funk bands who faded just as R&B pivoted toward new jack and synth-heavy production. Yet, Operator lives on in crates, and DJ sets it's the kind of track that turns heads at cookouts and retro nights. Gritty, electric, and alive. They weren't just underrated, they were overdue for more. But nothing can prepare you for the soulful explosion waiting at number 1. Number 1, Meeting in the Ladies' Room by Klymaxx.
Can we talk?
The queens of R&B funk who rewrote the rules. All female, all fire, all too often overlooked. Klymaxx wasn't just a band, they were a revolution.
Can we talk?
Formed in Los Angeles in the early 80s, they were the rare female group who played their own instruments, wrote their own songs, and rocked stages with unapologetic swagger. Their breakout album, Meeting in the Ladies' Room, dropped in 1984, and it was a thunderclap. The title track? Funky, funny, fierce. A response to catty drama, female empowerment, and club politics wrapped in an irresistible groove. Hits like I Miss You proved they had emotional depth, while the men all pause flexed their funk muscles. But Klymaxx was often dismissed by male-dominated radio and press. Their music pigeonholed as novelty or sass. What they really were? Groundbreaking. They paved the way for TLC, Destiny's Child, and countless women in R&B. Their styles, sound, and confidence still feel modern. It's time they get the flowers they've always deserved. From electro prophets to funk queens, these 15 bands made the 80s pulse with soul, sweat, and stories that never quite hit the mainstream but should have. Thanks for joining us on this trip down the hidden aisles of 80s R&B. Subscribe to keep the groove alive and never miss our next countdown. And up next, the top 15. Underrated 70s R&B bands who deserved more fame. Click the end screen and let's ride that next wave together.